Um, so I need to fix this app over here. It's a build issue on my front end application. I need to validate if the issue happens locally. Essentially, localhost 8000 is getting built into the front end static output build, and then getting added to the back end, and so that localhost 8000 is still included in the backend on the production build, and so we need to essentially just get that fixed. It should default if that's not included, but the problem is I have a weird manual build process. I've done it 20 times before in the better way. It's just for some reason this one ended up this way, and I can't exactly tell you why. So we're going to try to fix it. And the first thing we need to do is we need to validate that it doesn't happen locally so that we can make sure that the build happens locally. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this all in Docker containers with our latest image on Docker Hub. In really quick. I always forget which login it is for this. Okay, cool. So I did push 3 days ago, and let's see how this works. Okay, so for now, I'll just go to localhost 8000. And the way that I have this set up, let me just make sure what branch we're on. We're on development. Let's see to make sure what our latest development is. Join this as well in my Discord channel. Oops, need to turn on the virtual camera over there. Cool, that's over there in Discord now. And if you guys want to join, you're welcome to join the Discord. I'll drop the link. Drop the link in the stream. Dropped it in stream chat. Or you can get to it over at promptengineers.ai right here. And then if you want to check out the stream, you can click here or here. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing booted up. So let's rebuild the backend. I think I did this yesterday, but for some reason it didn't seem like it ran well. So let's just do an install and a run build. It should place it in the public directory in the source folder. So this should be the updated. Let's see, it's not changed. And then we need to go to the back end and then run docs to get the docs generated. That should all be updated now. Then, so we're going to test it against the local. I mean, I guess let's just boot up the latest really quick. And then we'll get our terminal back open just to make this a bit easier. Docker PS, Docker is up and running. We are in the folder. Let's go ahead and run Docker compose up. Well, I think I can just start pgadmin. Whoops, I guess I could have done Docker start Postgres as well. Okay. And what else? We've started those. Now we want to actually start the container. Depends on Postgres. That's already up. I might need the volumes, but we're just going to comment these out for now because these should already be up. I guess I'm wondering if I already have it as chat, graph, chat, image. Stop, chat, graph, chat. Did it not specify a container on that? Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's start it up. Okay, it looks like it's connected. Let me just double check the env. env is still using the container alias. Okay, so we can bring the stream back. We should be connected. I'll go to localhost 8000. Looks like we're up and running. The question is the server running correctly? Seems like it. I mean, those must be getting fetched from the server. Seems like it. Okay, cool. But the interface hasn't updated, and that's the interesting part. Because I bet if I go to front end, so that how I know is I've been making some changes the last few days. Well, I get in the last week or so, and this black background is supposed to be transparent, and the text is supposed to be lighter, and that's not what I'm seeing. So let's boot up the front end just to validate that that should be the case, unless I have to do this on another branch. Booting up the front end, let's go check it out. I believe it should be able to connect just fine. I mean, it seems like that works, but let's see. It is hitting the API correctly, I believe. I don't know, actually. No, it looks like it's not. And the reason that is because we in the front end aren't using that environment variable, which is just this. And so when that does get used, it fixes it, which was expected. But is the interface updated? See, and it is. And we did a build right before this, but it seems to not be overwriting. But we are using the latest image, and that should have the build. Okay, so if we comment this out now, and we go like this, and we do a stop, rebuild, Alright, so where's the other screen? Whatever, we'll do this. Okay, now if we refresh on the other one, we're not getting the server fetch. Why is that? Why are we not able to fetch? It does seem like it's fetching. It's got to be fetching the server. I just saw that models come in. Why are messages not getting fetched? That's interesting. It's like it almost never calls those endpoints. Red 2020. That's very sus. Because that just was working. That wouldn't make sense. Maybe because it's getting built? Hmm. This is very interesting. Docker compose down. Docker compose up dash dash build remove orphans. Yeah, this ain't gonna work because no graph chat's not gonna have them. I'd have to boot those up again. It's gonna crash. It's trying to pull from the database underneath. What is the issue? The interesting thing is, why does this want to play that way? Why? It doesn't seem like the front end any longer has. Huh. I mean, let's not do this in the container. Let's just stop this real quick. Docker stop graph chat. Docker start PG admin Postgres. They're gone. Are the images wiped? Probably not. No, they're here. So let's add these back. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just don't know that they're connected because I tried to boot them up independently. So let's try to bring everything down, start everything back up together. Okay. So now we should. For the hell of it, I'm just gonna log out and log back in because that's something else I've got to fix. Okay, cool. Not now. And we're gonna go to chat. See, but we're not loading any of the messages in. That's not good. That's really weird. Is it because we need to be on a new branch or something that we have not loaded in? I don't believe so. Like, I think I merged this branch in the other day. Docker build. Okay, so what happens if we just stop the container? Let's stop this. Let's tmux it. Tmux new s local env. Get some split screen action. Let's go. Let's start the backend should already be going. At least PG admin. admin and Postgres. And then let's pop the stream off real quick so we can fix our env in the back end. And go to the env. We're going to make this local host now. And we can go ahead and close that out, close that out. And double check that everything's good. Okay, no secrets exposed. And so we started those back up. We can double check that. We then want to just try to run this from the host because it's giving us issues, and we just want to see if we have any problems with the database connecting from host. I don't believe we should. That built fine. So the question is, if we go over to localhost 8000, what is our current result? Login's fine. Still no messages. And why is that? Is this because there's a new database? That could be. That doesn't make any sense because we were already loading them. And if we go to 73, which I don't think I'm actually running a front end at the moment, but if we do we actually get access to the API? It seems like when it does here to some extent. Pick back the login, see if we can fix this. Okay. Yeah, something's up there. Why would that be? Is it because the front end is not using this? So if we fix this, we might need to go restart our server. It looks like it restarted itself. I'm always a little skeptical when I'm changing environment variables about that. Okay, we're able to log in, and we're able to load the messages. So that's weird. Why does the Docker container having issues? It shouldn't have. I thought I had switched it to the container alias. I mean, the other question is, are we back working on 8000? It doesn't seem that way. But why is that? It shouldn't be that this matters. Why are you not loading from the local application? Yeah, I found out how to do the clear chat. It was on Stream Elements. I had it in Stream Elements. The problem was I needed to... I can't remember what I did wrong. I think I just needed to test it once more or something, and it ended up working. I did that, and I got these stream alerts working. So it's supposed to do, like, stuff. I'll have to get that configured so I don't have the default stuff at some point, but I figured that those two were things that are relatively good for the stream. I don't know why this thing will not. This one works. This is not loading the API calls for some reason, and this is supposed to be the back end. It should be the same front end that's the other one at the moment, but I do not get that. It goes. This front end works fine. Whoops! Wait a minute. 51, 73. Why does that end up loading them in? Makes no sense. It hits the API. Is it because it's not hitting /API? That seems to be the only reason why it would. What are these going? I mean, these are going to /API. So why would threads not go to /API? They're just not even getting called. That's weird. Let's do this. Let's just like delete it. Delete it entirely. I'm gonna delete all the assets out of here. Okay. Now front end should just be broken. Yep. Expected. And what we need to do. Oh, thank you, Vivi.
You have a lot of hair flavor in there. My hair just got in.
Oh, fine. At least it's not Sunny Finger flavored.
Next time I'll add that request.
Yeah, I'd love some finger flavored water.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I do need a fourth of the fruit. Thank you. Okay. Alright, so I know that this front end is gone now. I need to rebuild it, so let's go back to the front end. Let's close this down. Thank you very much. Love you. Let's go start up another one in here. It's a little bit easier to go work here. So I'm gonna boot up another terminal. This one's gonna be for the front end. We're gonna keep the back end over in this one, and we'll do the front end over here. And all we're trying to do is validate why, when we build it locally in dev mode, is it being weird against the production mode? Because what it happens is it puts the production bundle into the backend so it can be served statically by the backend. And anybody that would be asking why would you do that watches the stream, the reasoning is most applications these days utilize a backend API on a server and a front-end application served statically, meaning the application being served statically is the application being served statically means that it doesn't, the things that are being served to the web browser do not change much. Don't really change at all. It's dynamically, they become dynamic by them fetching the data after being rendered onto the page. And that's client-side rendering. So, application gets rendered in the page. The application then makes requests in order to fetch the data to the pages in the React application. So, most times, when you have this type of architecture, you can serve the front end, the client-side app, on what's something called a CDN, which just means it's file storage, but it's file storage replicated all over the world, making it very easy for those files to be served to a client web browser that requests them in order to get that application to that web browser as fast as possible in order to get the next steps going in that application. And that's great for online applications. What it's not so great for is for offline applications or applications where you just want to have one deliverable as opposed to a bunch of separate containers that make up one application. So, with regards to this chat application, I want to make this very easily deployable. And so the reasoning is to make the React app coupled with the Fast API backend, but served by the Fast API backend in order for everything to be one deliverable. I don't expect to know where somebody's going to need to deploy this, but trying to remove as much complexity from the code as possible is the goal. So let's go ahead and just like rebuild this since we're just eating on stream. npm run dev. And now, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. We already validated that we know the front end works fine. And here's the issue that I currently have. When I have the development server running, I have to use this environment variable to tell the client-side application that we are using a backend that is not being served. We are using the dev backend on our local system. And that's basically what's going on, is that they're in order to do development on the front end, so that I get the changes to hot reload, so every time I change the code, you'll see an update on the right side. I have to develop them locally as two independent things. And when they get deployed is when they get coupled together in order to be served as one. And the issue I'm having is locally, while they're independent, the independent version of dev works fine. The issue is after it's being deployed, I'm having a human error of I will forget to comment out this build variable, which I need to fix it in my CI/CD pipeline because it's an easy fix. The reason I just need to fix that is a number of things come in priorities some days. And that's what happens as a dev. And then you get stressed about how many of them you're juggling all at once. You play some World of Warcraft. Or some Destiny. I don't know if I can keep up with you guys, Steven, though, because I'll just get mad at playing PvP. Just kidding. You guys, it was fun playing D2 the other night. I like to see playing music again. That went away. Really not sure where to put the best place for the stream chat is. It almost seems like it's going to be better down in the bottom right corner. It's in the top right corner now. It only goes down about 60% of the page. What, bottom right or top right? It's definitely helpful to like see new messages come in because I rarely look up. Yeah, it's like middle-ish, but it's in the top right corner, but then it comes down. Okay, so yeah, I think it's just because like when you're doing programming, like if you're running dark modes and stuff, like most of the dark stuff is at the bottom. Like at least in the dev console, you can see. What are you locking in on today? Steven? Nice, nice. Yeah, I need to get that done today. Yeah, I'm gonna at least try to make a run happen. Nice. That sounds like a good cooldown. That's a good cooldown method. Do a little gym, get blood pressure going, come home, play some video games, cool down, then get to work. Or chill out. I mean, it's Sunday. See if we can get this back going. So, I do have the public folder. I haven't rebuilt it yet. Let's go ahead and rebuild. We are on dead branch. We should be at the head of the dead branch. We rebuilt. Everything got stacked into the public folder. I'm not even going to worry about the docs at the moment. Let's just go ahead and rerun this in dev so that we can validate that this is fixed, which it should be. Come on. Okay, I mean, I gotta clear the authentication then at least. Okay, admin. We're back in. And we're getting a break. And is that because the backend stopped? The backend should be fine. See, it doesn't load anything though. That's the crazy part. Why does that happen? And doesn't it just work fine? Oh, we are running it from the container. No, we're not running it from the container. It's running from host. It should be fully connected. Why is it not connecting? So, it seems like it's just not even fetching the calls. But that was it right there, and it probably got an empty response. It got a... Okay. It's getting double appended. What? That's my current issue. API. Oh, that's funny. Opposite of cooldown. Yeah, that's what PvP does, man. That's why I play World of Warcraft. It's a lot less stressful. Except last night, I was trying to get the stream going. Oh, I figured out why my stream wasn't working on multiple. I actually think it's probably better to have... So when you configure OBS, there are settings for the main stream, but then I used the multiple stream thing, the ATM multi-stream, and what I was doing was I was clobbering the primary connection because YouTube was my primary connection. And what I went is I just switched that to Twitch because I needed it to configure the Twitch chat. When I did that, it fixed the Twitch chat, and then also now I just have to. I do not actually. There's three things on my ATM output, and what I was actually doing was I was trying to enable all three, and this was my YouTube one from before. Well, now this one's my Twitch one, but this is my primary OBS feed to Twitch, and then I think it all kind of gets built off of the other stream. I'm not sure because it's like the primary connection. I don't really know, but this is the other one, and so I don't need to enable the third one. I just enabled these two, and now I shouldn't be stepping on the connection. And so now it seems to be working fine on YouTube. So that seems to be what the fix was. Getting there. I have not. I don't. There's a plugin for the ATM thing that does vertical, and I haven't added it yet. I want to add some. I need to get better about how to find people, because that's like what streaming seems to be about. It seems about how can you quickly connect with people and direct their interest. I'm thinking about it. I want to get it. I'm thinking about it. The whole TikTok thing is a little different for me. It's a contentious topic for me. And I don't know. Mia has extra phones for her work. And I think I might just use one of those phones to do the TikTok stuff, because I just don't want it on my phone. I know. And I have I've had CapCut on my phone and stuff before, and they're owned by TikTok or ByteDance. So it's just hypocritical, I guess. But I don't know. I don't want it on my phone all time. I mean, I delete CapCut because I don't have any storage on my phone for any of this. So I want to get the format good for Instagram, because the Reels are basically the same thing for TikTok. At least figure out how to start getting some consistent followers, or at least consistent people that are interested in what I'm trying to do, what we're all trying to do. And then I'll try that. That's probably what's going to be the route. Because I don't feel like you can ignore it. And I guess I'm also waiting to see how things will shake out. Government-wise, after the administration changes. Are they going to sell that off or something? Who knows? Probably not. Probably stay a safe place. Yeah. Yeah, probably. And that's kind of why it's can I avoid it? Probably not. So I'm at least try to keep it isolated. I kind of want to do that with all of them. I don't know. It's interesting growing up and I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the 80s. I mean, I'm sure the 80s were crazy too. But, being in the 90s, seeing internet for what it was then, phones. I remember people when I was young still had the big phones that you'd see people in the late 80s using. I think my dad had one. I remember that, and then seeing how they got smaller and smaller, what they became. I remember the Motorola ones. They were like this little brick, and then they were black, and they had a little bottom that flipped up. Those came after the bricks, it seemed like. And then I remember that was the time of the house phones with the cords, and then it was starting to get into the Motorola. It wasn't the Razor yet. It was another one. There was other ones. And then it started getting the slider phones too. Then came the Razor. That got some hype. And then after the Razor, I remember there was people battling should I get an iPhone or should I just stay with a Razor? Because the Razor, when you were skateboarding, you had like it was a lot smaller in your pocket. But the slide phones were okay too. But then, yeah, I mean, it took me forever to get an iPhone. I don't think I got an iPhone until I was probably at least 18. And then you kind of think about how much access we had to information. Then before that, I remember like straight days of being bored, just sitting in my room and be like, man, I'm so bored right now. And it's crazy to think that that's not really there anymore. And it's been replaced by people doom scrolling. And that's like a big thing. It's like, man, I really just want to like lock my phone away. Like that's I guess that's what my point I'm trying to make. I'm weaving to the. I'd really like to just take them all off of my personal phone and put them on some other phone and try to only be a producer instead of a consumer. A lot easier said than done. Yeah. Thanks, baby.
Now the boogie water.
No, I'm still chugging my boogie water. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of things that like let's just see how things are gonna shake out. Yeah, dude. I guess it's interesting because some like the younger generations like yourself, I guess you guys have had like the observable lens of the older generations of like what it's done to them. And I guess because you're like as you were younger, parents probably were like, oh, you can't have a phone now, and because you've kind of seen what it's done to them, that's what makes me nervous for my son. It's like, man, I have that it's hard to like kind of put it down and tune my brain out. And then I can also tell that it also affects my mood. It's not good. I think I'm trying to be more intentional with whatever screens I end up looking at. Just like practicing better habits. It's hard. Mia and I have talked about like some we were talking about like different religions one time, and I think I had to pick one that I liked the most, but I don't think I would have to. It'd be the hardest to practice. It'd probably be Buddhism. They seem like they got it figured out. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing going. Threads. API API. Why is it doing API API? It shouldn't be being built with the .env into the backend. Why is it getting built that way? Is it because I am doing something funky here? It feels like I am. I mean, but this was the fix I had to add. But why is it doubling up? It shouldn't. Let's delete this public folder again. The docs got replaced. Delete. Okay, fine. We're gonna delete the backend. I'm gonna just clear this because I just can't. That's why I usually run split terminals. Kill that terminal. Okay, so everything from the front end's perspective should be dead. This is going to be, let's just get us all the way back to logout. I'm going to make where's the stream elements thing? Where are you at, stream elements? I'm going to make this a little different. I'm going to go to the overlay. I'll just do except now. Edit chat overlay. I want these to disappear after a minute. So let's see, settings. I don't want you to show permanently. I want you to fade after a minute. Fade after 60 seconds. Cool. Should be good. Alright. So we log back in. No, we did not. We'll get. This is gonna fail because there's nothing there anymore. We're gonna stand this back up after we've gone to the front end and rebuild. Front end, npm run build. Gonna unpack it into and then we should be able to go to the back end. Go back end, scripts, whoops, bash. Scripts. Back end, bash, scripts, dev. Nothing should be changed, so everything should just start. Why does that never fetch? Okay, so let's go ahead and just start using the debugger then. Why are we not fetching any of this? Should I get the source maps in here too? Seems to me that something should be fetching. It's still doing API. Is this because I still didn't update it? It's gone. Why is it getting built into the front end like that? It shouldn't be. Is it because Vite has... Is Vite API your echo Vite API URL? It's gone. Weird. I don't think I define it. No. Is it part of a config? Docs. Boxy to 8,000. It'd be fine. Doing that, like, if I take... Is there something in the backend? Like, that's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to go search this thing. The backend's gone. Did I just delete those? Oh, it's not packing there. That's right. Backend. I mean, probably gonna have to push the source maps back in so I can see what the hell's going on. I'm trying to get this thing to. I was kind of explaining that earlier. My backend or my front end and my backend are coupled together as a deployment, as one container deployment, so that you can just grab one container and spin it up, and then it gives you the backend and front end. Right now, when I develop them locally, you have to do them independently. You develop the front end independent of the back end. So I have to spin up the back end on port 8000 and then spin up the front end on 5173, which is the default Vite port. And so then what I'm getting is that the API portion seems to be running correctly, but the front end portion actually seems to be running correctly when they're independent. When they end up getting coupled, it's just during this build step that I have. And what I had before was the build step I would not include the env there. So this variable that I was just showing, I don't want to go to that one, that's the wrong one. In here, I have this env, and the only thing is it's just meant for telling me when I'm in dev mode. So when I'm in dev mode, I need this. When I'm not in dev mode, I don't need this. And when I end up building this, when I was doing this before, when I ended up building this in dev mode, it would put this also into the production build. And so I'd end up having to come in here to fix it. I would then need to put it into I'd comment this out, rebuild it, then push the container out. And when I pulled it then, it should have been fixed. That, for some reason, is no longer the case, and it's not operating that way anymore as it appeared to be previously, but now it seems to not be. And so this thing that I'm trying to get up as an example that people just click around that's better than my old version is being weird. And so I had this perfectly fine running over here, but this is running on host, and this is like my personal vertical agent, and I don't want anybody accessing this because it has access to a virtual machine configured with credentials. And so I'm trying to make sure that I can go set up another container that can be fully deployed in an automated fashion and have this be the demo version. So this is going to be probably a demo.promptengineers.ai, and then I'm going to make it really easily able to get over here, and then I'm not going to be using this demo app anymore. I like this one, but it's just old and outdated now, and I have the better architecture that I want to update things to. That's what I'm working on. We got to figure out why this thing keeps getting built into the back end. And I swear it shouldn't say this, but if I guarantee if I go into the public folder, I need to go here, backend source public is the only folder I want to look in. And if I look for localhost 8000, if it shows up, which it doesn't. So that doesn't make any sense. Something's happening, and I want to say it's some type of config option. Because I don't remember this happening before. What it should do is it should just avoid that altogether when this is not included, and it will just default to /API for any API call. It doesn't appear to be doing that at the moment, or at least it's prefixing it with a default localhost 8000. I don't think that. I mean, I think that's some config option I probably configured and just forgot about during the build process, and that's why I have to get the front end build process automated too, because then it would have broken and I would have fixed it right away. I mean, the only thing I can think of is just asking it. It's like every time I try to build now, it's like it just puts this thing in the front end. Why is this happening? I mean, it even happens locally, and so that's like that at least tells me that I should go focus there. It's saying, hey, you're doing this, and it is happening locally, so don't even worry about testing this on deployment set or pushing the container. It's basically saying, you know, if it's happening locally, then you need to make sure that you can fix it locally because you're reproducing it locally. And so the best way for me to do that is start booting up the debugger. And this is actually probably going to be a really good thing to show on stream. Because we got to debug the front end and back end to some extent. So we're going to get down and dirty. Okay, so I'm going to boot up the backend first in the debugger. I need to. This is what I was talking about when I need to get into separate IDEs. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to boot up cursor out of here. We're going to move this left. We have the backend on its own now. I'm going to just kind of take this over here to make sure nothing opens up. Okay, cool. That looks okay. We can move this left. We're now in the back end. and we need to go ahead and start the debugger. So I'm going to hit F5. I'm going to stop it because I know that it's not in a virtual environment now because I don't have the left side showing anymore. I'm going to go ahead and start up the virtual environment. You can see now it is because it says backend in parentheses. And we need to go ahead and run the debugger. So I can do that with F5, and I can leave that. I'll just leave these breakpoints in place. I could delete these breakpoints because I actually, let's take them all off. They're not going to be relevant to what we're doing now. So our issue is when we hit refresh from the home page, this is fine. This works. What we want to look at is when we hit threads, we're getting an extra, but the problem is that it happens here. So we need to figure out, excuse me, what is happening on the front end when we are trying to debug. Sounds like my music's about to go off. Yep, just about to go off. Start it all over again. So what we need to figure out is we need to figure out where this is going. So we are going to need to boot up the front end now. And so I'm going to pull this one down. I don't really need to have the front end separated because the front end debugger is going to be on the browser. So all we really need to do is have the front end running. This is probably going to start fetching, or it's going to break, which is the better way we need to do this because that is in the front end. Okay, look. Yeah, so what I'm actually trying to do is I actually want to debug this without this because we need to see what's happening as if it was built already. Back here, we're going to go to the client side dev server. There we go. Everything's probably going to just work great. No issues. Okay, I'm wrong. And that's exactly the reason. Okay, perfect. So what we also need to do is, because we want to be able to debug the front end, we're going to go turn the source maps on in our config. Where is our source maps? Source maps dev. And I don't actually have that in my env for the front end. So we're going to tell it node in development. It should rebuild. And then because of that, we should now have our source maps getting built in. And we can now look at, okay, cool, great. We can now debug our front end code because we have our source maps. If we didn't have that, we would be bundling our code and we wouldn't actually be able to see anything on the front end. So you can see now this code's all going to be bundled and be harder to read. And if we have source maps, we have this. I probably have to redo it or something. But yeah, we get linkages to the actual bundled code, and we can debug into the regular code that's not bundled. Okay, so we got to figure out what threads is being called. So we know that the functions lie within the utils folder and lib utils API client. Here's the URL getting defined, and it comes in through my config here. And so what is going on with the URL when it comes in here? This should be the place that I even have to debug. So I should be able to go over to, we're going to make this a bit bigger so that it's easier to see on stream. We are going to go to the API client. We're going to go to lib utils API client. Interesting. Those look fairly the same. Hard to tell which one's which. I guess it's got to be this one. Okay, so now that we're in here, let's put a breakpoint here and do a refresh. See if we get anything. Okay, cool. We hit our breakpoint, and we can see that /API is fine. But what happens? Why are we appending the full URL there? We need to figure out what the API client is. Can we look at the URL? I guess it means that we need to figure out when we do call that. When we call this threads, it's probably going to be in my hooks. Use chat hook, query thread, select model, fetch model, get history, threads, byte URL. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. That makes a lot of sense. That's our bug right there. That is our bug. Okay. I mean, we should be good to go. I think that's going to be the only place that happens. I think this shouldn't count because this is part of our streaming. This, I think I can take these to-dos out as well because these are dynamic now. At least for now, they are. But that's our issue for sure. That's 100% it. I guarantee we fixed it. Because our client's already defining it inside of our API client. And so what was happening was I was already just reappending the config URL, but it's already being utilized inside the API client. So now we should have a clean environment. So let's go back to our terminal. Nope, I don't want that. I want terminal. And we're going to just clean everything out again. Go back to public folder. Just delete it so everybody can see exactly what's about to happen. We're going to go here. It's going to break. Great. That's exactly what we wanted. We need to validate. The backend's still running, it looks like, somewhere, and it's probably in the other chat. And I don't even need the front end anymore because we're just going to build the back end and see what happens. So now that we've broken everything, we're in the back end. We need to go back to the front end. Go to the front end. We're going to rebuild the front end because we fixed our error. I need to validate that I don't think I included it. So I'm not, this is where that step is where I don't know if I had the environment variable in or not, and where I end up messing up. So what we're going to do is, I know the environment I didn't use it that time because I was trying to fix it from the perspective of not having it included in the development, and that's where I saw the issue. So what I'm going to do now, Mia's having fun with Sunny next door. Probably going to try to wrap this up and go hang out with them for a bit and go do a workout. But if I fix the, I think this is how, okay, got that one going. Back to the back end. Uh-oh. I don't even know if okay, I did do it. Back to the back end. Get the docs. We're in the docs. Okay. Rebuild the docs. Great. Now, I should be able to do bash scripts dev, and we should have a working front end. There we go. Okay, we fixed our issue. Yep, everything's up to date. I do have a bug. I think that these are weird too. This isn't working. And this is working. It's like if it's not in a... That's weird. I'm gonna need to fix that. Or is it because this is like doing this? Can I just not define it? And then if I don't define it... Huh. Okay, I'm gonna need to fix that too. That's probably gonna be the next easy fix to do. But I know that we should be able to have our Docker container running now. At least from the local environment. So that's actually what we're going to test before we start pushing our changes up. We're going to run this from the Docker container. Which one is this one? This is the front end, so I don't care about that. Let's go. I need to stop saying so many ums. Cool. We should be able to build this now. We're going to get the terminal running. Let's just see if we have anything running right now. Okay, we're gonna stop all these because we're gonna bring these up all at the same time. Great, I'm gonna pause the stream real quick because I need to go manage an environment variable in the back end. Yes, we gotta change the local host to a Postgres Docker alias. We can close that now. We can restart the stream. And then, so we have stopped those containers so we can bring them all up at the same time. Whoopsies. And then we are going to get into the correct directory and bring these babies up. Let's just double check the file one more time. That looks good. That looks fine. Let's go. Come on. There you go. There you are. Alright, so that looks like it's up now. Let us refresh. Everything looks like it's working. Everything's running inside the Docker containers. We can see that all the requests are getting routed there because we can see them in the terminal. Let's slide that to the left. And as I click, if I refresh the page, you can see everything works. Cool. Let's just do a quick query, make sure we're getting it. And I always use... I can't change those right now. I gotta go fix that. That's making me really annoyed. And then who won the 2001 World Series? That looks good. Looks correct. Who were the pitchers? Got to test follow-up messages. Can you put the players into a table with their positions? Looks great. And can you provide a sample, a code sample for a CRUD fast API application? Looking good. Cool. All right. Well, that fixes that. I believe that we're going to pause the stream for today there. I'll probably be back on tonight around 8:30. Probably be working on the same stuff. I'm kind of getting anxious to do some stuff. I'll probably end up coming fixing this. I do need to get this deployed and fixed up. I think this should fix my deployment. So I'm probably going to start trying to get this pushed up before I even move on. Might do that real quick. So now that we got this, I need to go back to the deployment too on the server. Let's go ahead and make our updates. What branch are we on? I know that, let's go to GitHub. We have an issue. Add resizable chat layout. That was cool. I'm gonna add that. Deploy on render. Bug fix the issue where Vite API URL getting prefixed on threads endpoints. Cool. Got an issue. I probably should have done this before, but oh well. Got issue 99, feature 99. Fix Vite API URL append. I think that's descriptive enough. We have the URL. We need to update the changelog. So I have a script to do that in the script folder. Let's just double check to see what it looks like. That's there. It does have the bug fix pre-append. Git add all. Actually, just double check to see what we're getting. Changelog. Yes. All of this looks good. Git add all. Commit. Fixes the issue. Just do that, and then we'll push -u origin. Oops, I forgot an I. Push origin -u origin features 99. Cool. Pull requests. Go here. Copy the issue name, the branch name. From here to development, closes 99. Draft pull request. I'm all good to go. We can just look at the changes. Whoopsies, it is a bug fix. Let's do that. I mean, it's not that big. I don't want to fix it right now. It's not that big a deal. It's in there. You have a branch for it. It's all tied. Those are the small things I'd probably say when you're doing solo. It's not that big a deal to. You do want to be organized, but I'd say in that case, like feature bug, at least you can tie back to it and see the changes and see, kind of at least the reasoning behind it. MBD. Okay, so now that we got that worked out, we should be able to squash and merge that. And I think I was doing these in the container. I don't have the ability to go run it. In the container. Probably need to do this off stream for a second, just to make sure I know what was being run in that container. So I think the issue is I need to go re-pull the image on the server. So we need to get to the server first. So I'm saving, the way that I'm doing this, I'm actually saving the bundled production into the repository. Probably wouldn't do this in a normal scenario, but the way that it was working, get this thing deployed. I actually am going to probably update this because I know a different way of doing the other thing I was doing previously. But yeah, I'm going to probably get this thing to not be bundled into the repository and just have the configuration files. Okay, so we're on the server. Let's just see what's running. We have that running. Let's see what the history is. Did I start it from this user or did I start it from the other user? Oops. Okay. So let's look at the history of the commands I ran over here. Looks like I can I just Docker stop that and then Docker run it probably? That seems to be the case. And the question I have to ask myself is, did my pipeline over here run and build? Which it does look like it did. I bet Docker Hub has an updated image too. Yes, cool. Then we should be good to go with the latest tag. I do want to ask ChatGPT what the best way it thinks to do. Like I previously, let's do it this way. I'll show you guys. These are like the things that you do when you need to get confirmation bias. I think that's the right term. But I believe that I can, previous command, I'm going to give it the previous command that I ran to get the app running. Because at that point, the application wasn't running in the containerized version yet. And so what I want to do is I want to restart it, and I want to do this with the minimal amount of downtime. So it's kind of like practice. We previously ran this command to start the container. I'd like to limit downtime and redeploy the new latest image. Please provide the commands. And I could be like, oh, you're an expert, but like, I don't know if I needed to be an expert in this. It's like, if it was asking for code, maybe I'd ask it to be an expert. But since we're just asking it for commands, we don't really care that much. We just want to say, hey, just give me the regular commands I'm gonna need to make this run. What up, Edwin? Buddy Edwin just messaged me. Let's go ahead and run these commands, and then we'll get it going. I'm gonna go over here. We're going to pull this. I can kind of run this because you guys can see what's going on. Buddy Edwin's giving me some words of encouragement. Yeah, so I'm doing like these streams at least on the weekend. I'll do some streams during the day because I kind of need to be doing something productive before, if I'm not doing something else that's productive. But the prime time I'm going to be doing these is going to be 8:30 p.m. No, Steven knows that because he comes and hangs out. But I guess I'm just reiterating it in case people come along. I need to add it to my schedule on the stream. Alright, let's get the Docker container updated. We're just going to double check to see what things are already running. We know that one's running. We can see that it's been up for 2 days as its status. That's good. We know that things not crashing. We're going to pull the latest. And I want to show you, we're going to go get the other one running too. At least up, so you can see that we're going to hopefully just keep it running the whole time. So you can see the app's currently running. Cool, that's good. Now we're going to stop that one. This would be the point where things would get, now it's not running because we've stopped it. But because you're running these as a script, it would probably be very quick. What's the category right now? I thought I had changed it. I thought I had changed it to software and game development. Oh, did I not click done? Dang. I didn't click done. I have it up. Man. Man, that took... I'm learning. I had it up already. Yeah, I had it. I had it sitting here configured the whole time. Man, I wonder if I would have gotten some more if I would have just had this click done. I had been done. I got ChatGPT to give me the whole thing, and then I even got some tags and stuff, and I completely just forgot to hit done. Man, what an idiot. I got the stream chat going there too. I just can't really see it on yours. I gotta go figure out a better place for it. I think I don't know. It's kind of weird with all this code on the screen. No such container graph chat because we just removed it, possibly. That's fine. We removed it, so let's go ahead and just launch this one again. Oh, okay. I need to go into the actual place. Okay, so now Docker RM graph chat. I don't know if this is gonna work here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, cool. There we should be good now. Docker logs -f graph chat. I'm gonna take this to the side. I don't think. Let's see. That's what I thought. That's supposed to be the main display. Is that the main display? That's the main display right now? No, that's fine. Okay. Let me get back to that server. You doing the node? You doing the node chat? You talked to me about? Yeah, I'm fixing it. I want to get it. Okay, so I've been doing the vertical one for my personal one, but then that group I was joining, everybody's like, I don't know. I need to get something up that people can like play around with. So I made this website a little bit better. I kind of just made it reskinning it for the community. You can join the Discord. Got the buttons here, and then I put some videos here. I need to add some more. I'm gonna probably reskin it, but I also want to get like the ability to get to the demo chat application so that like it can start to get worked on a little bit. So this is the old application, dude. Awesome. That's so awesome. I'm so glad you said that. That's so awesome, Derek. Good. Dude, let me know if you have any questions. Like that stuff, I felt like we needed to get a good architecture for that because of the graph abilities. And so now internally that we have the JSON responses and we have the streaming responses, which are like the two good ones. The JSON responses are good for like the Slack thing. The streaming responses is good for that interface, is like, kind of what you want the application that should look like it get embedded in an application. And the third one I want to add is crons. So if you send a request and it becomes a type cron, meaning instead of it executing right there, it's just going to save it in order to be executed later on a schedule. And then that way we have three types of everything is very flexible in the sense of all you have to do if you want to add a new direct workflow is go create the flows folder. In the flows folder, just create a graph, and in that flows folder, just export that or import that new graph that you put into your flows folder, and just snap it on into the. I can't remember. I think it's in the agent. It's in the agent class. Let me go find it real quick. GitHub lane graph. So if you want to go, so if you want to create a new graph and you want to create a custom lane graph, you can basically just snap it onto the architecture. All you have to do is go develop the graph. And so what you do is go over to, you can go to flows. Here's the normal chatbot flow. I had to do this because I figured out that if you try to use the pre-built lane graph one, the create React agent, what ends up happening is that if you don't pass tools to the OpenAI models, they give me one moment. If you don't pass tools to the OpenAI models using the LangChain Create React agent, the pre-built one, it will essentially fail. And so what I ended up having to do is create the chatbot so that I could essentially Anthropic did not fail if I pass an empty array of tools. And so what I ended up having to do is have to create this chatbot and then conditionally check to see if that's going to happen. I don't know. It was a big waste. But this allows for us to create custom graphs and then snap them on right there. And so I can really take out the pre-built thing now because I have this one. But this is the example of the flow. So basically just add in a new flow with whatever graph here. Use this graph as your example starter and then go into the agent. Where is it? Is it in utils? I kind of need to put these into better. Agent. Yeah, go into agent. And then you can just snap it on right here. Builder, you can just import it in as builder. So here's the chatbot flow. I just imported it in as chatbot builder. And then what I do is I define chatbot builder and I pass it the config. And this is allowing me right here. Here's actually what's allowing me to pass the dynamic models to this actual graph. I'm building this chatbot builder. So here's the builder, and then I call compile on it, and then I pass in the check pointer, and then boom. So you can just put on a new graph right here. I need to make this more dynamic. It would be sick if we can figure out how to get people to like define a graph in JSON and then load it in here. That would be sick. But really, if any graphs we use, we just snap them on right here, and they should all work because they're all configured on LangGraph. Yeah, dude. Like I think this is the thing I need to do. I need to get these docs. I need to get these like really up to date because everything should be included here, and that was the other purpose. Dude, yeah, the cut points that was actually turns out those are we need to increment those as well. I don't actually have the ability to branch off of the checkpoints. It shouldn't be. I was looking really hard at it the other night. What I ended up doing, I had to go get the list of histories, and what ends up happening is there's like a bunch of relationships going on in the database for the checkpoints, and it's really hard to figure out where the messages are actually stored. And what I ended up having to do is I think it's going to be fine for now, but I think at some point I'm going to have to go take a look at how I'm actually grabbing the list of threads because it's a little funky, and that's like I think it's hard to explain without like diving in, but essentially those were weird, and so I think they work fine, and I think it's well enough to where it should work good for a long while. And I don't know how anybody else is configuring it. Like, this is like what I've been figuring out is like as you dive in deeper, I think there's less and less people that have actually configured these things the way that they actually should be configured. And that's what I end up seeing on like LinkedIn. People are like, "Oh, I hate LangChain. It's so bad." But like the reason is it's just you got to get all the pieces configured to actually get the most utilization out of it. And now that we have the graphs, we have thread runnable agents that can be equipped with tools, and we have the streaming mode and we have the JSON mode. I've basically rebuilt the old application that was built on chat completions, where I had to pass the list of history message every time, which was not good for the memory in the front end application. We now are only sending one query and only getting back one like each time, and so it should be a lot zippier throughout. That was the purpose of it. LangGraph, Edwin. LangGraph allows you to define. I don't even know if it's called. I don't even know if it's considered a DAG. What they said they based theirs on was Network X, and I want to say it's similar to what a DAG does. But it's basically you define you don't need the agent to be responsible for processing at every part in the tree and at every branch in the graph or the node in the graph. You need independent nodes that do some type of condition checking that don't even have to be AI. Like they could be, but really what it is it could just be a function that checks to see if some value is included in a string before it continues processing. So what it says is, let's say we're a car, like let's go back to the car dealership in that one time where they sold the chatbot. I can't draw it. I can't draw it for you. I guess I could go to draw.io. I mean, no. We go into LangGraph. We're gonna go to LangGraph docs. Graphs. Here we go. This is what they do. They have it here. I mean, I gotta go to the graphs, but conceptual guides. LangGraph. No, show me the graphs. Parallel execution. There we go. Cool. Okay, so here we go. Here's a lane graph. Here's the representation of it up here. And you can see what they do is you add the nodes. So here's each of your functions. You can see here's a function and then it's passing in what it's going to return. And so here's the next function. But you can see what it does is says, okay, well, we start at this node. As you just enter the graph, what is the first decision we need to make? So here's your entry point. And then here's you defining what the entry point node is in the graph. So you've added an edge to the graph. You have a node, you've given that node a name, you've then defined where that it is the entry point to the graph. It's the first place that gets processed. So technically, you could have something here that says, we're not going to go any further if the query that comes in is thought to be a malicious query. And so that's kind of one use case for it. But we could also be like, Edwin, we talked about this last time, or at one point, where let's say you want to have a social media marketing agent and you give it its initial task. And the tasks that it actually has to accomplish don't need to happen sequentially. They could actually happen in parallel. Meaning, well, I don't really need to generate the image for a post in sequence. I could generate that image in parallel and then also generate the captions and the tags in parallel. And so basically that's what this is doing. It's defining what its downstream nodes are. So now we have parallel execution branches. So now our agent can execute tasks in parallel and then resolve them and then give us a response. That is the power of the lane graph. And so that's what I'm trying to get at is the repo I set up, we can literally just define these in one file and then snap them onto the whole application. And so what I want to get to is being able to just export this as a JSON, having it stored, and then loading it in and being able to just have any agent graph be able to be utilized. I mean, there's probably going to be some caveats along the way, but that seems like the easiest way to come up with use cases is we can just create graphs for whatever the use case and then bolt them onto the application and then go. And that was kind of the reasoning behind putting the open source repository together. That's LangGraph, Edwin. Edges at nodes, edges, and they've removed conditional edges, which were used to like direct which node you're going to go to next. It's now a command, and you can define it internal of each node. So basically, internal of this one node now, we could say, okay, well, we actually just want to decide whether we want to go to this one or that one. And what we can do is there's going to function in here that you return. And so you make a conditional statement internal of this node that says, okay, well, if this input is A, then we're going to go to C. And if this input is B, we're going to go to D. You can make that internal in the node now. So that allows you to not have to deal with conditional nodes now or conditional edges. You only really have to worry about defining nodes and edges, and then compiling the graph and passing in your checkpointer so that you can keep track of your history. Yeah, what you got? Go for it. Spanky E. Spanky E. Interesting. Okay. In can I import name install GUI? I'm gonna go to StreamYard. Let's try to fix this up for you real quick too. I'm watching though. Try to make the chat a little darker since we're kind of focusing on chat at the moment. I'm new to this stuff. Settings. I've checked the code in multiple areas and I can't find it. Here's the thing. It looks like based on what the errors that you got, it looks like you're on Windows. And here's something that I would recommend. Use git bash. for your Windows development. If you're going to, you should use WSL, but don't worry about that right now because it's a lot more to configure. Go here to this downloads and download this as your terminal application. Don't use PowerShell or command anymore. Use this. Um, you can, in your code editor, you can configure it when you go to your terminal. You can let's see if I don't have the code editor up anymore, but you can configure it to be utilized. Use that. I think that should give you a bit. It's a bit easier to utilize, especially with ChatGPT. That's probably not going to solve your issue, but you have an import. I would probably need to see your code. Um, if you want to hop in, I'm in the Discord right now. I'll drop the Discord. You can hop in here and we can talk about it. I will give you the Discord. Drop it in the chat right now. Fix that issue, so I'm good for now. I don't know if it's even processing though. It's not because I need to fix that database thing, but oh well, I'll fix that later. Seems like other people need help on the stream right now. Yeah, I'd probably need to see exactly how your files are laid out in order to really understand why it can't find the import. One other way would be is that you're not creating an init module. Not gonna lie there, because it isn't a point I've had help with the code through AI, but it won't fix. Yeah, and this is where you're gonna get. You need to really dive in with the debugger in a lot of these situations, but it's gotta be. Hey, in Python, you have to do something that's called modules. And it might be that you're not configuring your module correctly. Let me just try to get a folder open really quick. Get a folder open. Sandbox, link up, templates, chat. VS Code. I don't even know the last time I opened this was. So check this out. I have a init underscore init underscore dot py. In Python, in order to create modules, you need to do that. I think it might be different in different versions, to be honest. But I know that I've hit this a few times, and you don't even need to add anything to this file. But in some cases, you need to just have this file inside of the probably the initialized GUI file folder in order for it to understand where this module is. Import cannot find it. I'd have to see your folders, not gonna lie. And what I mean on the AI side is that it just depends on how it really, this error really depends on how your folders are laid out. And one thing about programming is getting into a like a workflow each time where you know that you're set it up correctly each time. And it sounds like there are some caveats with Python. You deal with virtual environments, and what newer people start to do with Python. There's a general chat. Let me just double check. Oh, hey, you joined in. Yeah, I'm in the actual voice channel. If you want to come in here, but if you want to send me a DM too, just like I'll add you as a friend real quick. It's not even letting me do that. Oh, there we go. I added you as a friend. If you want to DM, oh, hey, what's going on, man?
There we go.
Hey, how's it going, bud? Welcome to the stream, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'm making a RPG style adventure game. I originally started it as just a basic adventure game,
Uh-huh.
and then a buddy of mine does cybersecurity, and then another buddy of mine is starting cybersecurity, which is eventually what I'm going into. But they told me I needed to learn Python because apparently it's like some back end usefulness with cybersecurity.
Yeah.
I guess because it's mostly implemented into it instead of Java, C++, HTML, stuff like that. Um, so, about 48 hours of YouTube videos and courses and stuff like that, and I've gotten to where I'm at. But the bits and pieces where I get stuck at, obviously, I use AI to help because it explains it. It does.
Yeah.
And then I just go through there with the code. It shows me where I need to fix it. And now, when I run the debug through it, it just runs can't find this, can't find that online, like 1570, and I'm like 1570. There's 34 lines in this.
I feel
But
you.
I also remember that I have multiple prompts up top with like the main I've got the GUI. Here, I'll share my screen so you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
go for it. And I got a quick question for you because you're the first to jump on while I've been streaming. In Discord, am I showing mirrored than I am from the streams?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I've been trying. I was looking online, and people are like, "This is the default thing," and but it doesn't show that to everybody else. Is what I was told online.
Yeah, so I've got your screen
Interesting.
pulled up on my second monitor, and it's showing me what I'm seeing on Discord.
Okay, so it's all good on your end.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Oh, that's good. All right, yeah, go pull the screen. I was gonna throw it on the screen, and then I was gonna it might be backwards, and I was trying to prevent that. You're good. Go for it. Let's see.
if it loads.
Yours might not be a backwards. That's cool. Okay, perfect. This is actually great. This is gonna work. Cool. And just as a heads up, are you okay with me sharing screen?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, and
Honestly,
then
I
okay,
mean,
cool.
if nobody knows exactly what's going on, it's easier for them to see it anyway.
True. And then and just as a precaution, because this is kind of what the stream's for. So you came to the right place. And I really do appreciate you jumping on. Just beware because it sounds like you're kind of newer to this. You just want to make sure you don't show anything that's a secret file. Does that make sense?
It's capturing just Python.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get started then.
Okay.
Okay. So you are okay. So you're getting the error down here in the console. Cannot import GUI name from GUI. Okay.
Expand that a little bit. So this is originally it started out as where's it at? Is it under? It started out as all of this, which is everything besides adventure. So the main, the GUI, the mechanics, everything over
Mhm.
started out in one file. And I was thinking it might be a little bit easier to implement it into separate and then they pull from each other. That way I'm not overwhelming myself with so much code.
Mhm.
I mean, it's so far like I've gotten pretty far with just how it is, especially with like the text based.
Yeah.
But now where I'm getting because if I no, not that one. I'm gonna run
And I gotta give you props that you're already into like the debugger and stuff. You'd be surprised how many people you meet as are professional engineers that they don't even get this far. They just throw console log statements everywhere.
right. So originally this is just the base one. Um, minus the you know, Skyrim reference in here.
Yeah.
But it completely ends, which is just kind of like a little haha, you messed up. Try again.
Yeah.
So if I run it again, um sorry if my typing is loud.
Oh no, you're good. I actually can't hear it at all.
Oh sweet. I guess I did fix it. So it gives you an option to fight or flight,
Uh huh.
which is any human basic standard. Um and then originally it stopped there, but once I got started switching everything over, it is under I think it's under mechanics. No. It started doing player stats. I started implementing player stats, attack and defense, how much XP you get, which is a lot different compared to what I first started out as.
Yeah.
Um, but when I do run it, the debug, everything pops up.
Okay. And so you have line It's saying it's being thrown at line 3 because it's having from GUI. It's okay. So let's go to the main file for me, and then it looks like this is not loading. So where is GUI? Can you hover over GUI for me? Okay, it doesn't do the. I actually just want to see what the path is to GUI real quick, because I know that. So main, where is main located? Is it located inside? Could you collapse all of your folders for me really quick? So main is inside game. It looks like. Is that correct?
Yeah, so here, we're just gonna go one by one. That way all these aren't at the top and throwing everything off. Make it a
Yeah.
little bit easier. So
Yeah.
GUI or GUI, I've got two for that, which is the just basic GUI and then
Hmm.
GUI setup.
Okay.
So with GUI setup, it imports Tinker because I've got um even though it's supposed to use Canvas, it's been running Tinker instead, which I don't know why.
Let me ask you two
Um,
things real quick. Is you have a game testing folder? Is that just supposed to be your tests that you're writing?
yes.
Okay. Um.
So a buddy of mine told me that when I'm writing out lines of code, I need to put them into a separate folder or a separate file and run that code to find the errors through that code, and then slowly implement it into the main code and go through the variables and the issues there. So that way, at the very end, you know you don't have any issues, and it's because me and him are both also mechanics in the part time.
Okay.
If say you install new brakes, but you didn't replace your rotor, you're gonna have issues.
Let
If you
me let me
replace
show
just
you
one,
one thing, and I want to show you this because I think this will help you clean up, and I think this is actually what you were trying to achieve. So I think he was just saying that you're like, is I guess I'm trying to understand the you're going you want to clean things up because you're starting to get really large files. Is that correct? Like you want to modularize things.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and so here's how it like in every language they a lot of them copy from some of the things, but this one's mostly in JavaScript, but I do see it all the time in Python. But my backend application, so my API are very similar to what yours is in the Python, is all in this backend folder. And all of my actual code that goes towards implementation for my backend is in this SRC folder. And in here, I have other folders that are really the main portions of my application. So I have my routes for my API routes, and then that will go into sometimes it goes into utils or other things. But that's kind of what I think you're trying to achieve. You want to essentially put everything inside of one folder that's going to be your source code for um, your execution of your application, and then everything that's outside of that SRC folder are like configurations for like your test folder. Like you can see here, I don't have it, that's kind of how I configure things. You're very I think you're really close into the same thing. So I'm just kind of just checking our both of our environments. So you have a virtual env here, and this is on the outside folder. This is your game folder, and then you have this test folder. So that looks good from the perspective. And then I just want to show you how they are configured in at least in mine, and then we can kind of dig down into yours. So if you look at my routes folder, I have routes and then I have my main file. So here's my main entry point to everything in my application, but it doesn't actually get included into my source file. And I think you actually have your main in your game. That may be one difference that we currently have. It's not a big deal. Like honestly, you could put it in there. It just that may be the key piece of what's going on, and I've hit that before, especially in Python. And so, at least looking at what my environment's doing, mine, you may think about just moving your main file outside of that folder, and then just specifying that that is the entry point, that is the folder that it's in. That may be one direction to do. That's how I have mine configured. It may help so that you can see if you don't actually get this module, because what this is actually doing is okay, main's right here at my top level inside of backend, and then I have my SRC folder. But you can see I prefix that and it just works when I do that. Another thing that I've seen is that your interpreter may be using another Python on your computer. So if you end up doing this and we're still getting issues, I would start to look at your Python interpreter. But Your environment seems to be working, so I'm kind of not leaning that way.
Okay. I do love the fact that Python gives me. I'm going with every other like coding software or anything related to this does give you the issues. Like it tells you where it is and all that. I do love that that has come in so handy,
In PyCharm.
especially when
Well, they have this in every code editor too. You really just end up having to install. I think they call it it's the list the language server. It's like when you end up having to use VS Code, you actually have to install Python into VS Code so that you can get that exact thing that you're getting there.
okay. I'm pretty sure I had Visual. Yeah, I've got Visual Studio. It's just I
It
was like,
takes some configuring. You have to get
yeah,
used to
but
things. PyCharm probably just comes out of the box.
yeah, I prefer that. I mean,
Yeah,
but with this, besides obviously it telling you what issues there are, uh, but with the debug, I do love that.
yeah. So let's see. Let's try to see. You're in the GUI file. Try here's what I think you should do. Um, Try to put a module underneath. Go to your game folder and just put an underscore underscore init file underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. Just put one there.
So, what was
Oh,
that?
you know what? Actually, go back to your main file.
Mm-hmm.
In front of your GUI, just add a dot in front of GUI. I don't think it's that one. It's on line 7, right? Or it says line 3. But those are commented. Oh, those are not working correctly. Can you hover over that first one real quick for me? Oh, import. No, I know what's going on. You don't have your imports. You have from GUI import, but you don't have anything in between those two variables right there. You need another import. Add. Yep, exactly. Space. Because that's supposed unless GUI. I think what you're actually are you actually meaning that you have an underscore there? Is that actually what you meant to do? Because that looks like what you're trying to do. That's why you have a duplication. So
There it is.
take out one of the imports, and I think that was what you have. You have line 7 and line 3 are duplicated, and you also have that same thing on line 9 and 11. So just remove your duplications and fix your import statements, and I think you should be good to go.
And then
Yep, just one more.
one.
I think you should be good to go. I think they should fix themselves. Yeah, give it a try.
Nope.
No, okay,
It's all set.
you still have a double import. Line
Oh,
3.
thank you.
Yeah, let's see what we get now. They are still being red, which is a little funky. Okay, so we cannot import the GUI from GUI. So we have it a bit different. Throw a dot in front of the GUI on line 3. Um,
Probably
hmm.
be GUI under game.
Yeah, maybe just do game. I try that. Try prefixing it with game. I've also seen that I've done that before. That's a little interesting though too. It did go yellow. No, I mean game in front of GUI,
Oh,
GUID or GUI. Put no put GUI. I'm sorry, game.gui.
gotcha.
Hover over your initialized GUI real quick. It's not doing anything. Can you open up? Can you split this and open up the actual GUI file? So you might be able to just do a control. Well, you can't do that. Just go to the. Yeah, can you split it so we can look at it, both of them? Set up GUI. Okay. So you have where's initialized GUI in this file?
That is a good question.
And that's probably our issue at the moment. We have the correct import, but we don't actually have an initialize function inside of here. Is it now called setup? You can do a control F and you should be able to look for that in the file if you need
Yeah, it's
to.
a setup at the bottom, and
It
it's
also
not much.
setup is that, but you don't. So, but on line 3 over on the left side, you're trying to import initialize underscore GUI, and that doesn't exist in that file on the right side. So it doesn't actually know what to import. So like you could like if you scroll up, so what is the thing that you're actually wanting to call in the main file that's in this GUI folder? Is it the entire file? Is that what you were trying to do?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so
I'm
it
trying to
doesn't.
pull everything in so it
All good.
plays.
That's not actually how this one works. And the reason why is because at the bottom of this, you have it that you call this file by on its own. And so what you actually end up doing is you have to define your main file in programming is typically your entry point, meaning everything through the application should stem from there. So initialization should happen from your application by calling Python Python main.py. And then that should be able to pull everything in from there. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to create a function of the piece that you have in the right side. And what I mean by that is instead, I think what you're trying to say is you actually are trying to import this and you think instead of doing the if name equals main up there, replace that with just def initialize GUI. Def space initialize GUI.
Instead of that entire thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you have space. You're good. Keep going. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Now you see how the left side just cleared and now it's good?
Yep.
You're good to go. That's the issue. You essentially need to define a yeah, because you were thinking that by just importing from GUI blah 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 and then just initialize GUI that you're importing that whole file. That's not the case. You're actually importing pieces internal of that file. If you wanted to just do the whole file, you would do import GUI, but the way that you were doing it, it wouldn't have worked the way that you wanted. So actually follow this import principle that I'm showing you right now because it's going to be the best way to learn. Don't try to import an entire file. Try to import things out of that file into those files and get what you did, like you just did.
Oh, okay, okay.
So like right now, you could go. You see how you could go to line 3 and then to put a comma right behind GUI and then put start combat. No, not there. I'm sorry. Backspace that at the end of that one. At the end of that line. Under behind. Yep. Comma. And then start combat. Yeah, it'll do that to you. The AI. See how that one, you're not utilizing it in the file right now, but it doesn't have a red underline because you have it defined right there on the right side. So that's how it all works. And you could define the same thing for constants and variables in this file. The only issue you were having was that one syntax on line 179 that you had to change because that was utilized for calling a script, meaning the application thought you were calling Python GUI.py instead of Python main.py.
I feel stupid.
No, don't. This is just programming. No, but no, I'm actually glad you happened on the stream, and I'm glad I could help you.
Yeah, this is compared to mechanics, this is a lot different.
I know, but hey, you're in the right place. You're actually the peer person I'm trying to build a community for. I have a feeling that a lot of people are like you in a sense of you probably like, and I'm guessing a little bit, but I was kind of in a similar situation 7 years ago. I worked for my father's company, and I had to drive all around town, drove almost 100 miles a day to go do my job, and then get home at 6 or 7 p.m. And I was like, man, my time is gone. Left that. I ended up teaching myself how to become a developer, and I've never looked back. And it's always been a thing I've thanked myself for doing back then. And now we're in this day where AI is here and it's able to assist people with that. And so, like, that's the opportunity I'm trying to jump on. And so, I got into the industry luckily and before AI came out and I had to learn a lot of these best practices. And so now I see a lot of people that are coming out of school as high schoolers or wanting to leave other careers. And the hard part is you either want to be an entrepreneur and build your own business and be self-sufficient and you don't want to build a Google. You might want to build a bunch of different little small apps to free up your time so you can do whatever you like. Or you're somebody coming out of school and you want to get a good job at a good company And the pieces that both of those people are missing are the ability to collaborate with other devs and be able to incrementally improve their application. So there's actually a lot more I can show you. But I'm actually going to jump. I'll be back on tonight at 8:30 Central. But this Discord is open, and I'm really trying to build it up. But this is the perfect channel for you, and I'd be happy to help you with your journey.
That would be appreciative because I haven't had a job in almost 3 months now because
Yeah.
I just moved to North Carolina. So
You're in North Carolina?
no,
I'm actually from North Carolina.
yeah, I'm in Whittier.
Really, I'm from Goldsboro, North Carolina. I lived in Raleigh until I was about 6 years old. I still have family there, so but we may have to hang out at some point.
Hey man, whatever happens.
Yeah, man. But hey, feel
Send me
free to stay
somewhere
in
else.
this
My girl
Discord.
hates people at my house.
Yeah, well, hey, man, feel free to hang out in this Discord. Like I'm here all the time. I'm actually trying to build my distribution network, so that's why I started streaming. And I work full time as a dev, and but I really enjoy helping people. So yeah, just stay in the Discord. I'm always like keep the eyes on it. I keep my computer up pretty much 24/7. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out, man.
Awesome, will do. I appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, man, and I'm gonna be doing the stream. I'm trying to be consistent right now. I'm getting my feet under me with the streaming thing. So, but my consistency. I'll be every night 8:30 p.m. Central Time. I'll be there, and typically on the weekends I end up jumping on in the afternoon.
Alrighty, sounds
Cool,
good.
man. What was your name?
I go by Kayan, but everyone
Kayan?
calls me Sparky or Spanky.
Sparky or Spanky? All right, man. Well, I'll keep Spanky since it's on the username. But hey, pleasure to meet you, man. My name's Ryan.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
All right, well, you have a good night, man. Maybe I'll catch you later.
Alrighty, sounds good to me.
Later, man. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for cutting the stream. I'm glad. That's like the thing. That's the most satisfying piece of doing the stream is one person can hop on. What's up, Bob? But one person can hop on and we can help them fix their block, and that makes the world to me. So thanks, Spanky, for coming on. I hope to catch you guys later. I'll be back on later tonight, 8:30 Central Time. Might be playing some video games. I'm actually probably gonna fix my app. 'Cause I'm pretty motivated based on that last call. So I'll check you.